Nobody told us. Nobody prepared us. We have grown up believing that all we have are these physical hands, tools for working, for greeting, for carrying a weight, or for writing a letter. But what they didn't tell us, and perhaps you sense it deep within your being, is that these hands hide a power that has been silenced for centuries. A power that has nothing to do with physical strength, but with the invisible energy that flows beyond matter. From the moment we are born, we learn to live looking only outward. They teach us to move our hands, to write, to touch. But nobody speaks to us about their other half, about their hidden modality, about that psychic mode that can penetrate flesh, walls, and distance. What I am going to tell you now is not a fable. It is not a superstition. It is knowledge that has remained hidden for millennia, disguised under religious symbols and empty rituals. Because when you discover this, something inside you changes forever. Imagine for an instant that everything you touch can transform, that every movement of your hands can heal, reveal hidden truths, or restore life to what seems lost. And now ask yourself, who would want you never to know this? Ancient priests knew it. Some practiced it in secret, others deliberately concealed it. They knew the language of the hands, but they decided to mutilate it. They gave us only the form, but not the soul. They taught us to bring our hands together, but they took away the essential ingredient, consciousness. The truth is simple and dangerous at the same time. Your hands can become antennas for immense power if you learn to unite three forces: thought, emotion, and full awareness. Without any one of them, the circuit breaks. But when the three align, something happens that cannot be explained with words, only experienced. Thought is the initial spark, the seed that gives direction to energy. Emotion is the force that propels it, the current that feeds it. And consciousness is the anchor that keeps that power here in the present moment from dispersing. The ancients called it the communion position, hands joined at the center of your chest, precisely where mind and heart can meet. In that invisible union, the left hemisphere, logical and analytical, connects with the right, creative and expansive. At that instant, the brain ceases to be a divided machine and becomes a single energy channel. And it's no coincidence that the hands are so close to the heart, because it is there that emotion and mind merge in a single intention. But this knowledge, which today seems like a simple gesture, was once a sacred key. A door that led to a power so real it could change the course of a life. That is why they closed it. That is why they wrapped it in empty prayers and dogmas that explained nothing. Because if you knew what you could really do with your hands, you would not need intermediaries between you and divinity. Now listen closely. What I'm about to reveal to you is not theory. It is practice. There are concrete ways to activate that psychic mode. The first, channel energy from the crown. Imagine a light descending from above, entering the top of your head, and traveling down your spine until it reaches your heart. From there, it flows toward your hands like an unstoppable river. And at that instant, with your mind focused on a goal and your emotion vibrating in harmony, your hands become instruments of healing. The second, the communion position. Place your hands together, breathe deeply, and allow intention, emotion, and consciousness to merge. Feel something awaken in your palms, a subtle vibration, a warmth, as if you were holding an invisible heart beating between your fingers. The third, psychometry, a forgotten art. Close your eyes, touch an object, and allow the energy in your hands to send you images, sensations, data that your physical sight could not give you. Because hands, when awakened, can see. They can read the hidden history of things. I want you to imagine something else. Imagine touching a person, an animal, or even a plant, and in that instant transmitting well-being, calm, life. Imagine a withered flower rising again, an anxious animal calming down, a hurting person breathing relief. This is not fantasy. It is the real reach of what your hands can do when they are awake. But there is something even more unsettling. Have you ever asked yourself why, if this is so powerful? You never learned it in school? Why did religions that for centuries taught to bring hands together never speak of thought, emotion, and consciousness as inseparable ingredients? Because without consciousness, everything becomes an empty gesture. And an empty gesture does not free, does not heal. It only keeps people believing they are doing something sacred while the true power sleeps. That is the best-kept secret. You do not need permission. You do not need a title. You do not need to belong to an order. You only need to awaken your own energy. Because when you do, you will discover that these hands you thought were simple physical tools are in reality extensions of your spirit. Some call it Reiki, others call it magic, others simply energy. But the name does not matter. What matters is that it is within you. And if you practice it, if you train it, if you use it with pure intention, you will be able to access a level of connection with life that very few have experienced. You might wonder, what if it doesn't work? What if I feel nothing? I will tell you something. It's not that it doesn't work. It's that your mind has been trained not to see it. But each time you unite thought, emotion, and consciousness, a door opens, even if you are not yet able to perceive it. And one day, unexpectedly, you will feel that vibration in your hands, and you will know that you have crossed a threshold of no return. Because when you awaken this power, you can never go back to living as before. And now, tell me, are you willing to touch the world with the hands of your spirit? So listen, because what I'm going to tell you now is even deeper. It's not just about learning to heal or perceive with your hands. There is something in the history of humanity that reveals to us why this knowledge was fragmented and delivered in incomplete pieces. Think of all the cultures that once venerated hand gestures, mudras in India, energy seals in Tibet, ritual positions in Egypt, secret signs of initiatory brotherhoods. None of that was by chance. Each gesture had a concrete purpose, a vibrational code that connected with invisible forces. But the question is, how did they know? And the answer is unsettling. They knew because someone taught them. Beings not limited by the physical body, masters who understood the human energy structure as one who knows every fiber of a fabric. They showed us that the hands are exit and entry points for energy, doors to invisible realities. But over the centuries, that knowledge tarnished. Politics, control, and manipulation reduced it to empty symbols, and the hands went from being channels of power to mere ornaments for ceremonies. Imagine for a moment that your body is a temple, and the hands are its bells. When they ring, your entire being resonates, and something in the invisible world responds. Each time you place your hands in a specific position, you are writing a message that other dimensions can read. The problem is that nobody taught us the full language. We learned only a few words, but the entire grammar was buried. It is no coincidence that in some ancient spiritual schools, apprentices were forbidden to move their hands in certain forms until they reached a high level of consciousness. It was not superstition, it was caution. Because whoever knows how to move energy consciously can heal, but they can also destroy. Energy is neutral, intention directs it. And here comes something that few dare to explore. Hands can not only project energy, but also absorb it. They can read a place, an object, or a person, but they can also extract what is sick or blocked. This is not a game. There are healers who, when working with psychic hands, have felt the weight of dense energies that did not belong to them. And that is why it is vital to learn not only to give, but also to release and protect oneself. Think of the psychometry I mentioned before, but taken to a deeper level. It is not just about perceiving an object's history. With training, you can track a place's energy back to its origins. You can touch a stone and feel not only who held it, but the emotions that were imprinted on it centuries ago. Because matter retains memory, and your hands, when awake, can read it like an open book. There are testimonies of people who, after activating this power, have walked through a house and felt the invisible stories still dwelling in its walls. Some perceive happiness, others detect accumulated sadness or rage. And here a crucial concept comes into play. If your hands can perceive that energy, they can also cleanse it. Imagine walking through your own home and, with a simple conscious act, sweeping away stagnant energy like invisible cobwebs. You don't need incense. You don't need complex rituals. Your hands, if trained, are enough. And the most unsettling thing is that this is not new. Already in the Vedic texts, there was talk of prana, the life energy that circulates through everything. In Chinese tradition, qi. In Native American cultures, the Great Spirit. Different names for the same force that moves through you and that your hands can direct. Now think, if so many cultures and eras spoke of the same thing, is it possible that they were all lying? Or is it more likely that there is a pattern we do not want to see? But there is another secret that is barely mentioned. Psychic energy is not limited by space or time. Your hands can act at a distance. You can project intention and energy towards someone who is not physically present. This, for many, is impossible to believe until they experience it. Some call it distance healing. Others see it as tactile telepathy. But the mechanism is the same. An intention charged with emotion and sustained in full awareness, sent through an energy channel that knows nothing of miles or clocks. I want you to imagine a scenario. Someone you love is elsewhere, sick or distressed. You close your eyes, bring your hands together in communion, breathe, and visualize touching them, enveloping them in light. There is no physical contact, but the energy travels. They might dismiss it as coincidence, but shortly after they feel relief, peace, or renewed strength. They do not know why, but you do. This is what the modern world has forgotten. We believe that only what we can measure with instruments exists, when the greatest instruments are here, in our bodies, waiting to be awakened. But what would happen if this awakening occurred en masse? If millions of people remembered that they are not passive pieces of the universe, but active nodes that can transform realities with just their hands, would the systems of control still hold power? Perhaps therein lies the answer to why this knowledge was silenced. Because a humanity aware of its own power is impossible to dominate. And while you listen to this, your hands are already starting to react. You may notice a tingling, a warmth, a subtle pressure. Do not ignore it. It is your body telling you that it has recognized the truth in these words. That energy was always there. The question is, Will you leave it asleep, or will you learn to use it? Because remember, when you awaken your hands, you do not only touch, you create. Not only do you perceive, you transform. And you not only change the outer world, you change the inner, and with it, everything that exists. But there remains a final step, and it is not for everyone, because whoever crosses it can never look at the world with the same eyes again. Listen carefully. There is a point at which hands cease to be just hands and become a pure extension of consciousness. It is not something you can force. It is a moment that arrives when you have practiced enough and broken the boundaries of doubt. It is as if, suddenly, you comprehend that there is no separation between your body and what you touch, that everything you perceive is inside you, not outside. That instant is a portal, and crossing it is understanding that reality is not solid, but malleable, that you can shape it. This is not cheap magic nor carnival tricks. It is a brutal rediscovery. Your energy, your intention, and your hands are capable of altering the very fabric of what you call reality. And the most unsettling is that this power does not vanish when you unclench your hands or go to sleep. It stays with you, like a constant echo reminding you of who you really are. Now I ask you directly, what would you do if you knew you could influence the world invisibly, without asking permission, without waiting for others to act? Would you dare to use it to transform your life? Or would you continue ignoring that invisible pulse running through your hands at this very moment? Many will hear these words and carry on as if nothing happened. But a few, perhaps you, will feel something calling within them, that the time has come to test everything they thought they knew. Because when you decide to experiment, even once, even in secret, there is no turning back. And I want to propose something. Do it today, not tomorrow, not someday, today. Find a moment alone, place your hands in the communion position, breathe and feel. Do not try to understand it with your mind. Let your body speak. And when it happens, when you notice the vibration, the pressure, or the warmth, you will know that what you have heard here are not just words. It is your truth, waiting to be lived. If you have made it this far, it is no coincidence. This knowledge has traveled centuries to find you now. So subscribe so that we can continue exploring these mysteries together, and write in the comments the phrase, "My hands are already awakening." That will be our signal, our keyword, the invisible thread that will unite those of us who have decided to remember. And now, I bid you farewell. But not like in any ordinary video. Because I do not want you to close this window and remain the same. I want that when you stop this video, you look at your hands and never see them the same way again. I want that as you sleep tonight, you feel them alive, ignited, as if they were waiting for your next movement. And when you wake up tomorrow and look at them again, perhaps you will discover that the world, in some way, has already begun to change. Because the end was always the beginning.